Make a date with Reverend Dr. Ebenezer Markwei at 6 a.m. from Monday to Saturday on Graphic Online via Facebook and YouTube as he expounds on matters of faith.
I like to call my thoughts this morning, I capture my thought this morning with the words, maturity of purpose. In Genesis chapter 41, verse 46, in Genesis chapter 41, verse 46, something screams out over there. That which screams out, the Bible says, and Joseph was 30 years when he stood before Pharaoh. 30 years before he stood in the presence of Pharaoh. Now, when Joseph was leaving Egypt, leaving Hebron, his father's comfort zone, when he was leaving that comfort zone provided by his father, that shelter, that protection, that celebration, that decoration with a robe of many colors, he was just a teenager. And I don't know, I would give him perhaps between 12 and 14 or something like that. Or maybe 16, maybe. Because if he was grown up enough, he would have gone with his brothers to go do the work that everybody else was doing. But his father sent him as a stripling lad. He sent him that way to go check out his brothers and see the number of years he spent in pain. He spent over 10 years in pain. God spoke many years ago, but he took all those years, and at the age of 30, Now, does it remind you that Jesus was born, he was in a manger where he grew up, and it was at the age of 30 years that he stepped out in ministry? Let me give you how divine processes takes place. There is the promise that God gives, and the promise is captured in the promise is the purpose. Or it is the purpose, captured in the purpose is the promise, rather, whatever you want to capture it. And then goes the process of preparation. God then begins to prepare you. And then after the preparation, after the time of preparation, you come to the place of maturity. 30 years is a year for maturity. 30 years is now when the process of preparation is over for you to start. God is prepared to make you spend 30 years in preparation so that you have a successful ministry, you fulfill purpose, rather than spend 3 years in training and mess up the rest of the 30 years. God goes through the promise with the purpose, and then he goes through the stages of preparation. How did God prepare Joseph? Read carefully. When he started, he had dreams, but he didn't have understanding. He had dreams, but he couldn't interpret dreams. Then in the preparation process, he sent. When I said God, yes, God, because Joseph said it was God who brought me here. So it was God who sent him to the prison. Why? Because he needs to interpret dreams. God is taking him, first of all, you start with the school of dreams, then he brings him to the place of interpretation, one step higher. And then from the place of interpretation, he's now prepared to stand before Pharaoh and interpret. He has gone through the preparatory process. God doesn't let you loose so that you become like a loose gangling cannon doing what you want. He doesn't do that. He needs to prepare you. There's a preparation process for David. David is at the backside of the desert, and God is taking him through the preparatory process. Sometimes the preparatory process can be denial, can be rejection, can be pain, can be accusation, can be acrimony, can be all sorts of things. Contest, contention and everything. It can be, yes, it can be. God is preparing you. God was preparing David at the backside of the desert. How was he preparing him? He prepared him how to fight a lion. He taught him how to fight a lion and taught him how to fight a bear, and do it by grace and by faith. So at the right time, when it is time for purpose to be fully manifested, when it is time for God to show forth the person he has prepared for that hour, out comes a young guy, young lad, and he looks at Goliath and says, how dare you, uncircumcised Philistine, defy the armies of the living God? God is so invested in your success, but he doesn't want to make a mistake in that investment. So he would like to prepare you for what he wants ahead of you. Well, the choice is to comply. Would always be yours. See you later.
Please visit our website, graphic.com.gh, or follow us on Facebook at Daily Graphic and on YouTube and Twitter at GraphicGH.
Subscribe now.